The time will come when you will realize that time does not wait. Valuing yourself is not an option, but a necessity. It is not about appearance, but about essence. Not about material wealth, but about education. Not about the clothes you wear, but about the class you carry within you. Many do not understand how their own obstacles can be. The self-saboteur, for example, acts against himself without realizing it, blaming others for his failures. He dreams, gains support. But when he is about to achieve his goal, everything implodes, like a time bomb programmed to destroy his own success. This person lives trapped in an emotional adolescence, running away from adult life. He is afraid of freedom, responsibility, and the frustrations that shape resilience. He prefers to invent excuses to avoid growing up, postponing basic tasks such as paying bills or honoring commitments. These are brilliant individuals, but they hide behind eternal immaturity. Maturity requires honesty, recognizing limitations and virtues. Beware of flatterers who use excessive praise as weapons. They feed your vanity to control you, making you believe you are perfect while exploiting your confidence. Vanity is like an addiction. It blinds and weakens. In a society obsessed with status, remember, your value does not come from material goods, but from who you are. Self-esteem cannot be bought. It is built through self-knowledge. Accepting imperfections and evolving is essential. Elegance, for example, is not found in expensive brands, but in simplicity, empathy, and discretion. As Coco Chanel said, elegance is when the inside is as beautiful as the outside. True people are rare. Value those who support you before success, not those who only show up in good times. The danger lies in those who put you on a pedestal, because those who elevate you without criteria can just as easily knock you down. In the end, life is about balance, recognizing your flaws, celebrating your achievements, and never confusing having with being. Because when the material loses its shine, all that remains is what you have built within yourself. The process of emotional maturity requires courage to face our own ghosts. Many people live trapped in cycles of self-destruction because they have never learned to ask themselves, who would I be without my excuses? Self-sabotage is the sophisticated art of running away from oneself, a defense mechanism that turns into a prison. Those who remain superficial in relationships discover too late that flattery does not build foundations. True connections arise when we allow others to see our cracks, not just our polished exterior. Vulnerability, far from being weakness, is the raw material of authenticity. In the professional sphere, imposter syndrome reveals itself as another facet of self-sabotage. Talented professionals undermine their own progress out of fear of success, or rather, of what success may demand of them. Taking full responsibility for our achievements can be as frightening as facing our failures. The current market bombards us with false shortcuts to self-esteem. The culture of social networks that confuses likes with personal validation. Consumerism that sells the illusion that identity can be bought. The pressure for quick results that ignores maturation processes. The true personal revolution begins when we replace destructive self-criticism with productive questioning. We accept that growth involves temporary discomfort. We understand that mistakes are valuable data, not character defects. Emotional maturity manifests itself in the ability to listen to feedback without falling apart or reacting defensively. Celebrate other people's victories without comparing their journeys. Set boundaries clearly, not aggressively. The antidote to self-sabotage lies in developing self-compassion, not to be confused with self-pity. Emotional discipline, different from repression. Self-accountability, far from excessive self-demand. The inner elegance mentioned above is revealed in the way we deal with our own weaknesses, with honesty without judgment, other people's weaknesses, with empathy without paternalism, adversity with resilience without victimization. Building authentic self-esteem involves three pillars: realistic self-perception, neither a superhero nor a villain in your own story; progressive self-acceptance, recognizing where you are in order to plan where you are going; authentic self-expression, aligning internal values with external actions. The path to maturity requires that we abandon the fantasy of perfection, the tyranny of other people's expectations, the illusion of absolute control. In its place, we cultivate the courage of imperfection, the wisdom of our limitations, the serenity to deal with uncertainty. The great irony of personal development: the more we know ourselves, the less we need to prove ourselves. The more we accept ourselves, the less external approval we need. Emotional maturity frees us from the need to appear, to allow us to simply be. This process has no finish line, but each step reveals new layers of understanding about who we are and who we can become. The journey of self-knowledge is ultimately the only journey that truly matters, because all others depend on it. We live in an era of emotional contradictions. We have never had so much access to knowledge about personal development, but we continue to get lost in labyrinths of self-deception. We buy self-knowledge courses like we buy another accessory, without realizing that the real work happens in the dark corners of the soul that we avoid illuminating. Self-sabotage is not an accident. It is a maladaptive survival strategy. As a child, you may have been taught that making mistakes was dangerous, that showing vulnerability attracted rejection, or that love was conditional on performance. These distorted lessons crystallize into adult patterns of self-protection that imprison us more than they defend us. The fear of growing up hides a paradox. We fear failure so much that we sabotage our own success to maintain the illusion that we could have succeeded if we really tried. Today's society offers us cheap substitutes for true development: followers instead of real connections, likes instead of authentic recognition, toxic productivity instead of purpose. And worst of all, we start to believe that these external markers define our worth. The vanity we are so often warned about is not just about our appearance. It is the vanity of believing that we can control how others see us, that we can create an image that is proof against judgment. But here is the liberating truth we discover when we stop running: no one grows in a straight line. Emotional maturity is not a destination, but a way of traveling, full of setbacks, deceptive shortcuts, and moments of sudden clarity. Those who insist on appearing ready are precisely those furthest from themselves. The elegance we speak of emerges when we abandon the war against our imperfections, not out of resignation, but out of a deep understanding that it is in accepting our limits that we find true freedom. Self-love is not a state of perfect confidence, but the courage to embrace our contradictory humanity, capable of greatness and smallness, strength and fragility, wisdom and naivety, all at the same time. Perhaps the most revolutionary act today is precisely that of giving up on being extraordinary and simply being whole. of exchanging pose for presence, of preferring uncomfortable truth to the comfort of illusions. When we make this choice, we discover something surprising. It is in accepted vulnerability that we find our most authentic strength, and it is in surrendering to who we are that we finally become who we can be. In the end, we realize that this whole journey was never about transforming ourselves into someone else, but about having the courage to fully inhabit our own skin, with its marks, scars, and potential yet to unfold. This is the true basis for a life worth living. Now let us say a prayer, the prayer of self-acceptance. Dear soul, today I stop, I breathe, and I allow myself to exist exactly as I am. Not perfect, not finished, but simply human. With all my contradictions, my lights and my shadows, I open my hands and release the need to be loved by everyone, the weight of expectations that do not belong to me, the illusion that I need to deserve my own affection. I give permission to feel without judging, fall without despairing, get up at my own pace. I honor my history, the scars that taught me, the falls that made me stronger, and the dreams that still keep me standing. I welcome the child who is still afraid, the teenager who rebelled, the adult who sometimes feels lost. I promise not to abandon myself on difficult days, not to betray my truth to please, not to demand of myself what I do not ask of anyone. I surrender to life what I cannot control and embrace what I can transform. Today, I choose to be my own safe haven, my shelter on stormy days, my unconditional love. So be it. Amen, or simply a deep sigh of acceptance. P.S. Keep this prayer as a reminder that you deserve the same love you give to others. Read it out loud on days when the world feels too heavy. You are not alone. And, still within the energy of this prayer, let's do a spiritual meditation. Finding healing in God. Sit in silence with your spine straight, feet firmly on the floor. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply 3 times, releasing the tension in your body with each exhalation. God of my understanding, I open my heart like a flower to the sun. I give you my pains, my fears, my heavy memories. Welcome me in your infinite love. Sacred visualization. Imagine a golden light descending from the sky, completely enveloping you. This is the divine presence. Feel its warmth dissolving, the hurts stored in your chest, the judgments trapped in your mind, the insecurities lodged in your belly. Dialogue with the divine. Repeat internally, allowing the answers to come in the form of sensations or insights. Divine Father, Mother, show me the root of this pain that I carry. Observe without judgment the image or memory that arises. Teach me to see this situation with your eyes of love. Allow the divine perspective to transform your understanding. Exchange my fear for your peace, my anguish for your wisdom. Feel a gentle energy reorganizing your emotions. Healing of wounds. Place your hands over your heart and visualize old wounds being washed away by a river of violet light, forgiveness. Empty spaces being filled with golden honey, self-love. Repetitive patterns being turned to ash in the wind, renewal. Receiving grace. I accept now the love I did not have to earn, the peace that does not depend on circumstances, the strength that comes from my connection with you, God. Breathe deeply, holding this sense of spiritual home within you. Bring this awareness into your day, knowing that I am not solving this alone. I am co-creating with the divine. Every emotion is a message. Every pain is a call to healing. Everything in me deserves to be blessed. Amen. So it is. Blessed be. When you open your eyes, take a sip of water as a symbol of the grace received. Tip: practice this meditation for 21 days, observing the internal transformations. Write down the insights in a sacred notebook.